Live from Dunamis Church, this is Today at Dunamis, and we have a great show for you today. An amazing, a spectacular show. We're joined by guest Harry Vries. I'm here, co-host Ed, and now let's welcome our host, Shaun. That's it.
Today, to talk life at Dunamis.
Hello, everyone. Hello, I'm here, as well as...
Hello, how are you? Good to have you. And our special guest.
Hey, Harry.
Hello. Thank you for having me on.
Nice to have you here. So what's happened? The Switch is not doing a good job right now because it should be showing me.
Sorry.
Thank you.
I'm rookie at this. I'm a rookie.
We don't have... Is a rookie. Okay. We don't have Erica with us today.
Where's Erica?
Erica's not here. And but we're blessed to have Harry. Harry's a pastor, a fellow laborer over at Momentum Church.
Yes.
And how long has Momentum Church been going now?
4 years.
4 years
Yep.
under your oversight.
Yep.
And previously the remnants was from the Gold Coast, everything else.
Yes.
Okay. So how long overall was it, running?
The Gold Coast, the Upper Coomera, we're situated in Upper Coomera Community Centre.
Yep.
We hire the premises there for a
Yep.
church. And before Momentum, it was going for about 3 years before that.
And then you had the opportunity, praise God, released and being able to move forward to be able to do what was now known as Momentum Church.
Yes, we were asked to pastor the church, and we were blessed to be able to be released and move forward in that. And so we called the church Momentum and moved on from there. And we started on the first Sunday of January 2017.
Now, the word momentum, have you ever noticed, Harry, how churches today, and I've said this before when I've interviewed you.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. So that gets Ed going. Have their own unique names now. Okay.
Yes.
So the word momentum would mean what?
Well, it's gathering its force, moving forward, gathering momentum as it goes through, but it's also based on an increase of movement.
All right.
Yes.
Like a glacier?
Yeah, like a glacier when someone hits it and it rolls over in the water. The momentum keeps down, or the rock that come down in Tambourine Mountain.
All right. And talk about the Tambourine Mountain. That's,
Yeah.
most people wouldn't know exactly what it is. We call it the goat track.
The goat track, that's right.
And that's on the particular back part that goes from Tambourine at the top all the way down through the Canungra.
That's right, yes.
And it's a very one-way street. You've got to wait for a traffic light to say you can go. It's a one-way area, so we like to ride that way.
Yep.
In a little while since I've ridden. It's even longer for Danny. But the fact of the matter is that we go down an area. So there's huge boulders came down. We've had a lot of rain.
Yes.
They're saying, I don't, do you know the numbers that was up in Tambourine? But
I think it was 980 mils, came down. I think they got more rain than Brisbane had received in a year.
Oh, yeah, so it'd be close to about a metre then.
Yeah.
So for our American friends, it's almost like 3.3 feet.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of rain up there in the mountain. And I imagine it's going to come all the way down the rivers anyhow, which is great. So, that's really good. And so Wazza over there says he loves the goat track. Yes, I call it the goat track. So something like that area there is just a slippery track, that one.
I'd say might have been out in the sunshine yesterday on his motorbike, saying he was missing the rides.
So is he one of yours?
Yes.
Ah, very good to have you, Wazza.
He's
That's
our
good.
guitarist.
What does he ride?
He rides a Yamaha Vista.
Ah, okay, a pretend bike. Okay, very good. And
For now.
It's nice to have Pam with us. It's a horrible road. Well, not when you're enjoying a motorbike road, Pam. Yes. So on a motorbike road, it's something you look forward to coming down there.
Yes.
I have seen a couple of cars over the side down that road.
Is that right?
Yeah, young fellas just not making the. There's a couple of those real, I call them dog turns.
Yeah.
It comes around there. And dog leg turns, those sharp ones back to 20, and they didn't quite make it, and they went over the side there. So I've seen a couple.
There's no room for error.
My always thing on that one, we used to go down there around 5:30, 6 in the morning, is right in a particular bend, there's always a wallaby would hang out there. I don't know if you remember seeing him. Maybe you're too far back.
Yeah,
okay?
I'm too far
there's
back, yeah.
always a wallaby there, and that wallaby always give me the nerves that he's going to jump out right at that bend. It's just like every time I'd go down that morning, he's just standing in that position. I'm going, I hope he does it later on for Harry, not for me. So comes bang that area. But no, it works out good. But it works out really well. But no, it's great. So praise the Lord. It's been a lot of rain, and the ground's been very dry. So I imagine it's been good for us. And hopefully nobody out there has had any serious damage I know our
No, it
Christmas tree, the lights have been short-circuited, so we've got to try and figure that out because the junction box got inundated with water. So Josiah with Shane and whoever else is available is trying to work that out right now.
Yeah.
Because as your wife lets me know, it wasn't bright enough. So we're trying to work on that, especially for next year.
Yeah.
Thanks, Seal.
Yeah.
That works out well.
Yeah, but we haven't been here for a couple of
Well, here
weeks.
we go.
So we should recap maybe what's been happening.
It's good to have Ed on the other side there. So Ed has his, he asked if he could wear the Santa hat. And I said, no, you can wear Santa's helper's hat. And an elf hat. So he's taken the switch areas for us because Erica is not here. Is it because she didn't want to be or because we didn't need her? But either way, that's what happened. And we have a little bit more of a Christmas set done up.
Yes.
And on my side, I got Ducksworth, my famous duck. He goes with me everywhere. And thanks to Kylie doing up. And little Santa. And Ed wanted to know what was in the Santa. So Ed, inside there, Erica put in some candy, some lollies. So Ed, here's a little chopper chop for you because I know how much you like those things. So that's for you after the show.
Thank you. That's why I get paid in Chubba Chubs.
And I must say, if you could put on Harry's side for me, I did notice the Santa Claus. And I
Yes, the
noticed
Santa Shaun.
my face is in that. Okay, so just in case I didn't thank you, Ed, thank you for that one.
You're
And
welcome. You
now-
look great.
Yes,
You
yes.
never looked better.
There's that white beard, little chubby cheeks. It all comes in pretty good.
Oh, I didn't realise it was in the Santa Claus.
Harry, he put it in there. That was his
Yeah.
little. Ed has these little set things for me for when I come in, so it comes in really well. Now we were supposed to have. Let's just be upfront. We were supposed to have Ken Ham with us from
Yes,
Kentucky,
I was looking forward to
but
it.
there's been a bit of a mishap in that area. So he's over in Indiana right now. So we will have them next week, and there's a special gift. That Ken Ham, Answers in Genesis, wants to give to all of our people. And so you'd want to be in tune for that next week. There's
Next
a special
week.
gift.
Yes.
And it's a gift that'll last for a year.
Yeah.
Right, Ed?
Literally.
Yeah,
It'll literally last for a year.
And it's available to any of our people. And that gift is worth $44 US for the year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's like $100 Australian, right?
not quite. Since President Trump has not been, well, in a lot of it's very hard to talk to my American friends right now because they still haven't accepted that President Trump is not going to be president right now.
But it's all over now, isn't it? It's definitive.
Well, according to
the Electoral College and
some
stuff.
of Fox News and to everybody else,
Yeah.
there's still another hit. One thing was they're hoping that when Congress looks to ratify it, that somehow they'll stop it, which is not going to happen.
Yeah.
Congress is controlled by the Democrats anyhow. So, no. And then you had the Senate Majority Leader.
Yep.
He, who is a Republican, made the announcement that he recognizes President-elect Donald Trump and all that area there. So, look, I've got so many good friends in America, and I hope they're not tuning me out, and they're dear friends to me. But, I appreciate and I respect that they're disappointed, they're hurt. But I think even worse than that, Harry, is that they are nervous.
Yeah.
And I talked to one pastor who said to me just this week, we don't know what's going to happen to the church because there's an anti-church feeling with this particular group.
Yeah.
But, whatever it is, God's in control, and they just have to rest in that area. And remember, in California, I was talking to Pastor Eddie Mayastis yesterday in California, where they're under full lockdown again. Restaurants, gyms, everything locked down. But because they had a high court win, because the governor tried to close churches, and they had a high court win where churches could be open, the churches are still running. So it's a very divided country right now.
Yeah.
Very divided, and it's hurting. But speaking of that, and Ed's talking about how much something cost, the Australian dollar under President Trump was around 67 cents and 68 cents. Well, now with President-elect Biden, it's just under 76 cents, 75.5.
Yeah, let's go.
So
Ed wants it to go up.
well, I was saying to Ed, I think it was just the other day, it'll hit 80 cents.
Yeah.
And I heard them announce on the financial report that they're expecting 80 cents in the new year. And
Yeah.
to go up there. So it really depends. But we'll put it this way. The United States is self-sufficient right now. It's not relying on any overseas oils.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if President-elect Biden goes ahead, I believe that will change.
Yeah.
And who wants to be held captive by the Middle East?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
look at Australia's problem.
That's right. That's the problem we have here, where we don't have we don't have enough fuel, we have to import, even though we do have enough natural resource in Australia.
Yes.
But they import it from overseas, and we've got the problem where fuel is now housed, I believe, in America, and they've got to ship it over
Our
here.
reserves.
And the government's only thinking about now, I think because they got caught out, that we've got to start building our own reserve tanks here.
Well, yes, and think about our refineries. I think it went from 10 to 15 refineries at its most to where we only have 3 in the whole of Australia, and they now have to get subsidies. So it's just announced they're bringing forward the subsidies to refineries, which is about 1 cent per litre, which works out to about 78 million in 6 months. Or a year, something like that, to be able to keep those refineries going. So, this is a matter of our own, well, if you talk about defence, looking after our country. But, in Bass Strait, we have our oil in Timor, and we ship that stuff all the way.
Yeah, well, the Adani mine that they're doing, well, whether they actually mine or whether it's just about the train.
Do they ever mine yet?
I don't know. I think it might be just about the train, having the rights for that train so they can charge everyone exorbitant prices to get the coal and everything across to the ports. But the mine that they're actually doing is in the Galilee Basin, and my first job...
What a great name, Galilee.
Yeah, in the Galilee Basin out Western Queensland. And my first job, real job... my first job was actually for a church.
Can you define what you mean by real job?
Well, what do you mean by real job, huh?
My first job was working for the church in the printing place, but I wasn't paid. And so I signed indentures and I wasn't paid. And so that didn't last very long before my dad said, "You're out. Go get a job where you're earning some money." And he was working out Western Queensland for Esso. And
Esso, I know Esso,
and then I got a job working in the Galilee Basin. And even back then, this is in the early 80s, and back then they already knew that Australia had more natural resource. They'd found it already. They had more natural resource than they'd ever need.
Ooh.
And it hasn't been touched since the 80s till now, apparently.
Oh.
Well, like just take natural gas. We have so much natural gas, and we ship it out to Japan.
Yeah.
Now, how does it work out that mine the gas, and it costs us more money to have gas than it does from Japan? Japan selling it to its people is cheaper than we pay. I mean, there's something morally wrong, in my opinion.
I think it seems to be all the deals they do with all their exports and that.
Well, it's the Australians. Take, for example, this embargo with China right now.
Yeah.
So right now, I understand they're not going to buy our coal. So seemingly, our coal is probably the cleanest coal that you can get.
That's right.
So I know China's been working really strong in Mongolia, which is under China's rule, to mine coal, but it's not clean coal.
Yeah.
And as well as from Indonesia.
Yeah.
Now, they're doing all sorts of things. The wine, well, that doesn't affect me, okay? Barley and cotton and all sorts of things. But iron ore, which they need bad, and we're the only producer in that area. So iron ore has gone up seemingly from $50, a kilo or whatever it is there.
It's gone through the youth.
To $150, $160.
Yeah.
So... And of course, Australia benefits because of the tax area, so that's just gone through the roof. They're not going to cancel that out. But you want to think, what does Australia do with China? Like, do you go hard and say this is what you do here and risk more problems, or do you just keep caving in? I'm not saying Australia's caved in, but what do you do? Let me tell you one thing, Ed. If you're interested, give me a gift.
Yeah.
Rock lobsters from Western Australia, because China is no longer buying it.
That's right.
Coles and Woolies selling it with limits of $4 for $20 each.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to get me, anybody wants to get me a rock lobster, I mean, that's $20 each.
And he's talking the real rock lobster, not the
I'm not talking about, it's a crustacean, the real thing, you know what I mean? So it comes in there. So how much would that be normally? I don't know what they
I don't know.
I've never
I don't get
bought
them.
one.
Yeah, if I get you one, you want me to put it in the offering basket on Sunday?
Well, Ed, this goes to show it must be a while since you put an offering in. We haven't done offering baskets since March. Okay, so Ed,
yes,
I need to check up on how you're going on your tithing there, son, because there hasn't been baskets since March. Oh, you got caught on that one. Didn't
I
you?
mean, I type. I use the app, which you can download today.
Yeah, I have that app.
It's a good app.
Yes, but I still give up the other way.
Cash in hand.
No credit card. I
Hey,
said
let's go.
credit card.
Okay.
Except my credit card got violated.
Oh yeah, got nicked.
I
didn't it?
don't. No. I found out that I'm getting charged 15 times by JB Hi-Fi in Victoria.
What the?
Really?
Yeah. So I had to cancel my card,
Wow.
which was set a week back. So it's already been over a week. Today is day 8, waiting for a new card to come.
You didn't
jeez.
respond to an unknown text message or something, did you?
Someone asked that, but I didn't. But what I did find out is 2 weeks before it happened,
Yeah.
I'd purchased something at JB Hi-Fi. So I don't know if it happened inside or not or what. So I'm not accusing them of it, but it just so happens that.
Wow.
So.
Some dodgy worker there, maybe.
Well, we don't know that, Ed. So, I mean, we don't know that. So let's not do that.
No.
But I can only tell you what happened there. So, yeah, I mean, like, does it annoy you that, and please, friends, could you stop sending me these, through Messenger? I just delete them. These things, these messages, and these silly stuff that comes out. And is there things on Facebook that annoy you?
There's a lot of things on Facebook that annoy me. It's but I've learned this year that you've just got to scroll past and let it go.
Yeah, scroll past.
Those things that just like me, it just seems like there's a big hit on all these, like what cartoon character they are, or what animal they are, or
what color you are, that kind of
what
thing.
color you are. I mean,
Have you
also,
ever responded to anything like that? Well, I don't
no,
think you would.
I delete it. I mean, I ignore
I don't
it.
think you would.
Or what happens if they annoy me too much, I suspend them for 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
They don't know I've suspended them, but I do 30 day.
He's off.
They call it 30-day snooze.
He's
Yeah,
off
snooze, that's it.
Now, the good news, Harry, I've never snoozed you.
Oh,
Thank you. It's the Sheldon
Ed,
Cooper.
No, I
bandwidth.
have never snoozed Ed. It came close with his cooking class, but otherwise it never did. No.
hey, that cooking class was a masterclass in Italian cooking. Thank you.
Ed's Kitchen's rule. But no, people put the weirdest thing on there. And this other silly thing that people link you in,
Yeah.
and sorry to some of you people out there, is like, can you guess this number, or can you guess this?
Oh, yeah,
They
I
do
don't
these
do
games.
any
I'm
of
like, who? And then someone puts out, I beat blah, blah, here's my game. I know I'm offending somebody right now, or 2 or 3 or 4. But I'm like, my goodness. You
No,
know,
I don't do any of that. I don't play games on my phone. I don't do any of those things on Facebook.
I don't
and
know
just
how to play
scroll
games
past.
on my phone. Okay, I'm not that good, but I just try to work it. But anyhow, people do what they do.
I don't think I get as many weird emails and videos and such sent to me like you do. You know a lot more people.
Well, it's not
you
a lot
know
more
a
people.
lot more people, and I think a lot more people send you stuff than I get sent. I'm
I
pretty
get a lot
good.
of weird stuff, and I just, every morning when I check it in Messenger, up at 3 a.m., or not every morning at 3 a.m., but 5 days a week, and I check through Messenger and in the morning, and because sometimes I get people asking for help around
Yeah.
the areas, and I look at it, but I can tell you for everyone that needs help, there's 4 nutties,
Wow.
you know what I mean, on things, and people send
Just
stuff.
Ed, do you message?
No, not at 3 a.m. I don't message him at 3 a.m.
He only just got an Apple phone.
Yeah, back on the Apple gang.
Yeah, he only
Wow,
just got
really?
it about, what, 2 months
ago? Oh, no, like 3 weeks ago.
No, it's longer than 3 weeks ago.
I don't know.
Yeah, but anyhow, and in fact, he's the one who encouraged me to go to the next
Yeah,
level
get the
phone.
12.
So I had been due for a phone for 18 months and hadn't bothered. And then Ed was like, well, you really ought to consider it. So here's a guy who was an Android telling me. So,
Yeah.
it comes in that area. So,
Shaun still had an 8 before he upgraded. So
yeah, so Ed helped me out. But no, it is amazing on Facebook. Do you find, now this is going to be interesting, narcissistic.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're familiar with the word narcissistic. It means vain.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Like very vain. Have you noticed how many people are narcissistic on their Facebook?
Yes, absolutely.
Like the photos and the way they want to look and do things. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, I want to look at the photo to make sure my belly's not hanging out, or make sure I'm smiling and my tongue's not out. You know what I mean? So obviously, and I hope that is not seen as narcissism. Okay, but I'm talking about how narcissistic people are, like particular. Well, I won't go into the areas. Okay, but the way they want to look and present themselves. I mean, I have unfriended some people. I warned them because I thought photos they put up were inappropriate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I said, if you keep this up, I'm going to unfriend because it pops up, and I don't think the photos, are worthwhile. But how narcissistic we've become. I don't think we've ever been this narcissistic, in my opinion, ever as severe.
No, but I think it's balanced. Oh, got to do with having such social media is so big in our lives in this day and age. And a friend of mine actually said it to me a few months ago. He said we seem to live in an echo chamber these days.
Yeah.
That whatever people want to say, they only want to hear back what they're saying. They only want to hear back that's something that agrees with their opinion. And if it doesn't agree with their opinion, they'll bounce it out. They
Bounce
only want
it,
their
block
echo
it,
chamber.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I go back to the American election, and I'll be upfront. I actually thought Trump would win.
Yeah.
I won't lie to you. I
Yeah,
thought he
me
would.
too.
And despite some of you not liking me on this one, I actually wanted him to win. And I noticed some people who don't like me saying that, but it's because it's not because of Trump himself. It's because of what the other people represent. And
Yeah.
that's what worries me so much.
Yes.
That's what really worries me, especially with Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
She believes abortion to 8 months.
Yeah.
She believes that if a child is still alive, to leave that child and give it no medical assistance. I mean, Queensland's bad enough at 4 months.
Yeah.
And New Zealand's another level, okay? But this is extreme in this area. I had one lady, and she's a beautiful lady in Australia, beautiful lady, and I was a bit surprised because she put something up on Facebook, just I thought inappropriately attacking President Trump.
Yeah.
Now here's the issue: whether you like someone or don't like somebody,
Yeah.
I still think you respect the office.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
I mean, when Kevin Rudd was Prime Minister, I'm not a Kevin Rudd fan. I know him, met him, but I never, ever, ever demeaned him or said things in the area. And I thought the sister was out of line in the area, and I was polite. I wasn't
Yeah.
rude. And I says, is this really how you think? And then it's all like, done this, done this, done this. And I said, but hang on a minute. Do you know how many lives, babies' lives, they have saved?
Yeah.
There's one lady, Christian, in America, and they put up stuff saying like, why are you Christians so concerned about unborn childs? What about born childs? And they're talking about those held in custody and borders. Well, it was President Obama who brought those things in
Yes.
before Trump. So, I mean, there's so many things taken out of whack. And talking about out of whack, I just read this today, which really, can I say irked me? Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah.
Do you remember how when President Trump brought up that hydrochloroquine,
Yes.
what do you call it, hydrochloroquine? I can't say the word probably right. that area. And then how all of the American Medical Association said, no, it's not true, it's ineffective, and it's all a big banter in that area there. You remember that?
Yes. Yes.
The American Medical Association, listen to this, just released in the last 24 hours a statement.
Yep.
In the last 24 hours, and I'm going to read it direct. It says, the AMA, which is the American Medical Association, rescinds, takes back, previous statement against prescription of hydrochloroquine.
Is that right?
Now, is that because the elections are over?
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously.
Yeah.
Now, I talk to people. We did an interview, didn't we, Ed?
Yeah, we did,
with-
2 weeks ago, I think it was. No, it was a week. No,
It's over a month ago.
over a month
Ed.
ago. Oh,
Okay.
man, I have no perception of time after
He has
carols.
no perception of time. Okay.
It was,
No perception.
it was March last month, right? It was
But we talked to Julie David Sutton
Yeah.
in
Yes.
Guatemala, and she had COVID. And so over in Guatemala, you don't need a prescription for a pharmacy. That's scary.
Is that right?
Yeah, you don't need a prescription.
For anything?
No, you just go up and request it.
Wow.
So anyhow, they got hydrochloroquine, whatever you call it, okay? And she'd had the battle for 6 weeks, and within 3 days, she had broken the fever. You can get
Yeah.
back in the area.
Yeah.
And so I just find it amazing that the American Medical Association has now rescinded on its previous statement.
But isn't that typical, though? Don't you think that because of our echo chamber and because of how people are only wanting to hear
Is
back?
that your catchword?
Hey?
That's
Yeah,
your
I
catchword.
just think
Echo
it's a fascinating.
chamber,
I like
yeah.
that one.
Echo chamber, echo.
Yeah.
Because they're only wanting to hear back. But it's the other side of it is that I find that people sometimes are afraid to say what they think in fear of getting shut down, ridiculed, abused, because they don't want to stand up and say, because we've stopped people just having an opinion, because if your opinion isn't the same as mine, I don't want to hear it. And not only that, people get angry when you have a different opinion, and people haven't learned to be able to accept, well, that's your opinion, this is my opinion, and I accept that's what you believe, and that's okay. And so we're filtering out all this stuff where people aren't able to say anything. But I found that the sad part of it is I don't know if people are game to actually speak on topics with the boldness as they were before for fear of being shut down.
Or offending people.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, let's take the whole subject of being the vaccine for COVID.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay. That is a hot subject. Hello, Pam. You watching? Yes, I see. I see you watching. You know I love you, sister, and I know you love me. Okay. And let's take that painful subject of vaccination.
Yeah.
Now, we know that the United Kingdom has released across their nation vaccination, okay? And we know that the United States has started to release it.
Yes.
I don't think it's anything...
Canada as well? Or that hasn't happened
I don't
yet?
think it's yet. But I don't think Australia needs to be pushing hard for it right now.
No.
Because, I mean, seriously. I mean,
No,
Yeah,
that's
maybe
all
in
right.
Victoria, maybe.
They might have one case in New South Wales. I was hearing on the news this morning.
is that local?
Then they're not sure. They were waiting to hear from
Maybe
the health
Ed can look it
minister.
up there. Okay. But I mean, I'm not aware of the areas, but I know this. Watch out, Anastasia will close the border. You got
yeah.
the one local.
Yeah, that's right.
But the fact of the matter is, I don't think Australia should even need to have a discussion on the vaccination at this point.
No.
Because it's not something that, I mean, okay, we did our Christmas presentation, right? And you know where I'm going on this one.
Yeah.
Ed, do you want to say anything about my rant about to happen right now on the Christmas and COVID thing?
Oh, no. I mean...
Norman, you laugh at me setting it with a
I was
G up.
looking up a thingamabob and I couldn't find it. But we got some pictures from Carol's if we want to look at them.
Okay, we'll put some pictures up while I talk.
Okay.
And we can work in that way there. That was the that was a great, I think, around the finale singing. What a great job they did.
Yeah, it was
so
awesome.
as
They did.
Ed's showing
It was
some
wonderful.
pictures up there, if you're watching, Justin, that's my nephew. You know what I mean? So he says, "What do you have to do to know a deer? You have to act like a deer."
Yeah.
Be
Something
one
like that.
with the
Did
deer.
you
No,
notice
very
where
good.
his head, where his mouthpiece was? Ed?
Yeah, he has no...
It's above his eyebrow.
microphone.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
Yes.
It was coming out that said, "Oh, Justin,
Yeah,
you need to
no
pull that thing
microphone
down." His
technique at all.
eyes are speaking. Okay, poor guy. It would have been Jacinta. She did a marvelous job.
Yes, she did.
I mean,
She did. You know what I enjoy about watching the carols, and we come every year and watch the carols, is
Thanks.
because of all these the people who are involved, and Jacinta and Betty and all the others, and I remember them when they were younger.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
it's, for me, it's a real sense of
remember
pride
Betty
to
playing a
see
little
them
sheep.
all. Yeah, to see them all grown up and singing and do so wonderful. So it's quite enjoyable watching them. And now we're seeing new ones come in.
Yeah, and you know, just what you said, Harry, I agree with you. Is that we keep putting more photos up, Ed. We keep
Oh,
seeing.
those are the only 3 I have, sorry. I only got 3.
Well, go to my page. I got a whole lot more than you.
all right.
And the fact, even though some a screenshot, but the fact of the matter is that whole performance was our own in-house,
Yes.
and that's what happened. But just going to the point, we did our markets the first week, which was great, and just trying to understand how the COVID, because we want to work within the law, of course
Yes.
we do, okay, and when I think of that. Outside the ruling for the outsiders, you can have up to 1,500 people, no mask, anything else.
Yeah.
But because we wanted to increase our numbers from the 300 to 400 to get 500, which is the max we could get in, we had to follow a COVID safety plan at another level.
Yeah.
And on that plan, you had the allocated seating. I don't have a problem with that. That's
Yeah.
easy to do. But you could sit right next to each other.
Yeah.
Right. So there's no distancing, 78 centimeters. Right. But the fact of the matter is that going from the car park to the entry, you had to wear a mask, and leaving the building to your car, you're supposed to wear a mask.
Yes.
So how does COVID know that on an event it's going to attack versus a market?
Yeah, that's right. It's a smart virus.
Well, you see, Shaun, because we changed our plan from COVID worship to COVID events, it just won't come. That's how it works. We changed our plan,
So it knows the plan. There's just some things about this COVID I don't understand. I was talking to a pastor because, in the United States, I don't know if you know this, but the United States, they recorded at right now 310,209 deaths.
Wow.
But now here's the thing, and it might sound controversial. Here's the thing, right? And I was talking to a pastor just yesterday. He said, yes, they died of COVID, but did they die from COVID?
Yeah, that
Meaning
we don't know.
the cancer deaths at an all-time low. The flu deaths are all-time low. All these deaths are low. So if you had a car accident and you died because of a car accident, but they found traces of COVID, you're a COVID death.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to get flagged now. We're going to get flagged by Facebook now. Careful, Sean.
Okay.
They do? They flag you?
If you say
right?
stuff like that, they might flag you.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
India's had 144,000 deaths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brazil is 182, almost 183,000 deaths. The United Kingdom is almost 65,000.
Yeah.
Italy is almost 66. And Mexico is just over 114,000.
Wow.
Now, everybody thinks America's the worst, but when you do it, deaths per 100,000.
America's 12th or something, isn't it? Or is-
Well, maybe that's what President Trump would like.
Ah.
But no, according to the stats I have, America is fourth because they've been
Fourth,
Going.
okay.
They were having 2,000 deaths a day or something.
Yeah.
Recently in America, which is the equivalent of 911 every day happening.
Wow. Tragic.
So, which country do you think per 100,000 has the most deaths?
Is it a country like Italy or Brazil?
Right. It's UK, the United Kingdom.
Oh, United
So
Kingdom.
United Kingdom right now per 100,000 people, okay, is 70%, 70.16. Second is Peru, which is 64.5. Third is Chile, which is 53.4. And then fourth is the USA at 49.65, and then it goes down.
Wow.
So that's per 100,000. So it puts it in ratio. So if you work out per capita, because remember, United States is over 300 million, getting close to 350, 320, 350 million, 350. The United Kingdom is only like 60 million.
Yeah.
So when you work it out per capita,
Yeah.
if England was the same size, United Kingdom the same size as America, it'd be like 500,000 deaths, 600,000 deaths.
Yeah. Yeah, it's when you put things in perspective, it changes everything. And I know that I got a sister who lives in Holland.
Yeah.
And she was
Because you are
yes,
Dutch heritage?
I'm Dutch heritage, born in Amsterdam.
You were born in Amsterdam?
Born in Amsterdam, yes. Came out when I was 3.5.
3.5.
And,
That was 60-something years ago, wasn't it?
yeah.
No.
Yeah. No.
Life's been hard. He's
Sean-
really only 20.
I don't look bad for 20. But my sister went back to Holland, and she's been living there for 20-something years now. And she was saying that they're heading back to their stage 3 restrictions again.
Yeah, wow.
And now they're going to be shut down. Holland's going to be shut down. All the main shops
For Christmas?
through Christmas, on Christmas Day and Boxing Day. So at the moment, they're only allowed to have 2 visitors in their home.
Wow.
And on Christmas Day and Boxing Day alone, that goes from 2 to 3.
And I know that the United Kingdom is in severe lockdowns.
Yeah.
Now, speaking
So
of
they're
this,
shut down till the 19th of January. Nothing's going to change till the 19th
do you
of
think
January.
that in Australia, because we're so fortunate, where it's being, I'm going to say managed. I'm not going to use the word under control,
Yeah.
but it's being managed. Okay. Do you think because we're so fortunate of being managed that we have lost the understanding of how severe it is or how bad it is?
Yeah, absolutely. We don't have a great perspective on it because we don't have people living there unless we're talking to family overseas. But it's not only we have less people, we have a bigger country, we're spaced out more, and our
But
weather.
we're not living in more out space. I mean, everybody lives on the
coast
East
and
Coast,
stuff, yeah.
and we're living in our cities. I mean,
Yeah, but we don't have as many people. But it's also, I think, the warmer climate. You know, our winter isn't as cold as, especially in Queensland. So I think we're a bit protected in that. But I do agree. I do think that we get a false
So you
sense.
actually think it's the climate that's helped us?
Yeah, I think that's a massive part.
Climate and geography.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I can I beg to disagree?
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah, I think what's helped us is border closures.
Yes.
Oh, I agree with that
So-
too. Yes.
We can't have it both ways
Why not?
because it means you got your foot in each side.
No. I think it's a mixture. I don't think there's one answer. I think it's a mixture.
But what
of-
about states like Mexico's
border-
not cold?
No, well, that's true
And
too.
that's
So you're raising a good point.
Mexico is 100 and what is Mexico? 114,000 deaths.
But have they shut everything down there? So I
Well, that's
guess
what I go
your
back to
point
the
comes
borders.
back to yes.
So to me, it's border. I mean, one of the things is, I mean, like the United States complain about Trump's border things. We're more severe than the United States is on border control with immigrants.
Yeah.
Where America has 1 million people a year coming in there, we've cut ours back down to what, 20,000?
Yeah, it's got right
something
down to
like
the
that.
I mean,
moment.
it's huge down there. I mean, way down.
Yeah.
Okay. But going back to the point, in my opinion, all right, so let me verify that. So if COVID checks them, I mean, whatever that group is, in my opinion. So in my opinion, I think it's just voice now, not picture, with just technicality working on.
Okay.
So in my opinion, I think it was the quick action of closing down international borders.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about the state borders, although I think it was necessary with Victoria, but I am definitely talking in reference towards the international borders because they were a real problem for us.
Yes.
And we closed them down faster because I know that America was still having international people coming, even though Trump closed down China, he's still allowing other countries in.
Yeah.
The United Kingdom, I don't mean to sound so blunt there. It's stupid is what's, I mean, talk about stupidity. They're still flying people in from these countries in the area. I think border closure. So I still hold to the view, different,
Yeah.
that management has been the key.
Yeah.
And even though we've had some unusual people, Anastasia could be a bit hard and severe. The Victorian Premier, I don't understand how he still wins the popular vote thing up there with the way they handle the hotels. I think he was just disastrous. So out of 908 deaths, Victoria's like 800 something of those deaths. How the Victorians have survived. I heard that mental illness, suicides and things has just been horrendous for our friends in Victoria. But going back to the point, I really think it's been quick action to clean up the area, so which works out well. I mean, Morgana's asking about the New Zealand bubble. Well, I mean,
Keep him out, I say. Keep him over there. Don't let him in.
No, Ed, I'm looking forward to travelling. We want to go somewhere.
Well, the bubble,
March, I believe,
the
isn't it? By March that they're looking to open.
Wasn't
the
it
bubble?
like January?
well,
or something?
Jacinta Ahern is her name. Jacinta.
Jacinta
Yeah.
Ardern. Yeah.
Ardern. I said Ahern. Ardern. It could change.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she has a bubble with South Pacific Islands.
Yep.
Which I understand. But the problem is right now is this is irony. So our premier announces the travel as of 1 a.m. whatever day.
Yeah.
That flight arrives, and then they get told that because you had other people from other countries going to fly in, everyone's going into lockdown for 2
because
weeks.
it was a connecting flight from other countries
Oh,
through New
geez.
Zealand.
I mean,
so
like-
the poor people in the plane had to quarantine anyway.
and that means they're going to miss out on Christmas because there's a couple of weeks.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, but then if you go to New Zealand, there's no free bubble. You have to go into quarantine, so there's no open air. So I think the way it's being set up really is trying to get either New Zealanders who live here, and there's a few of them, okay, to come over, or it's expats, Australians coming back.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the numbers are right now, but there was like 20,000 Australians.
It's
trying
just to
get
keep
back in.
Qantas afloat. That's what I reckon. They're just trying to give Qantas a little help in hand by giving them some work.
Well,
That's what I reckon.
Well, Mr. Ed, personally, I think we should help the Qantas and Virgin to keep it afloat because it's going to this is going to end, and we need to have an airline. What do you want?
You just want your credit, right? You just want your credits back from when they cancelled
That's
your
Virgin.
flight.
Virgin.
Yeah, Virgin.
Virgin owes me a lot of money. But I'm not getting it back. But well, to me, it's a lot of money. Okay, to Harry, it's probably not.
Do you think then that with COVID and countries sort of being isolated, that each country now is sort of looking at their own sustainability, and it's going to move countries more towards looking at their own resources, and that's only the countries that can do that.
Well, just talking about the airline industry, the United States has done incredible work in financing to keep the airlines going.
Yeah.
I think more than any other country. And here's the problem, Ed, okay, is that if we lose our Australian-based connected airline, whether it be Qantas or Virgin, you're opening a door up for like China, and I don't want China Airways flying in our country taken over. Okay, I don't want any other airline. But that will take over because they have the government's resources to do that.
Yeah.
That's why right now they're trying to put restrictions, the Australian government's trying to put restrictions, I believe, on Chinese companies that are connected to Chinese government buying up Australian companies because of COVID.
Yeah.
And because they're cashed up where we're not. So the question is, do you want a kangaroo still flying or do you want a panda bear flying? That's being a bit facetious there, but you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think there are certain icons where they have to do it. And that could simply mean, Ed, by investing in the shares. It's a sharehold. So invest in the shareholds and then have a say in it. Buy shares, not just do, but buy shares to have a say in it. So, but I think we have to protect certain things that are unique to Australia. Because if we don't protect it, I'm not talking about the local fish and chip shop, and I'm not even talking about Woolies.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about something strategic like happens there will be really, really important. You know what I mean? And that's to me is really, really necessary. So that's what comes about.
Well, we're seeing a lot of industry leave. I mean, we're seeing the car industry change. No Holden.
Well, how do you feel about that? I mean,
I think it's terrible.
The Holden.
I think it's terrible. It's industry in Australia has changed. I heard the commentary this week about Gladys Berejiklian saying that she said, we don't know how to make trains. Rubbish.
Yeah,
Rubbish. What a dumb statement.
Yeah.
We don't know how to make trains.
Well, the trains we got from India
they
couldn't even put our wheelchairs in it. They had to refit them all out because they couldn't fit.
Yeah.
So I get the need to import export. I get the need to balance everything, but surely I think Australia is big enough that we could build up our own infrastructure.
Yeah.
And the issue I think that we have here is we keep selling everything off. What happens when there's nothing left to sell?
Well, I think we're almost in there. I mean, the government used to own the Commonwealth Bank. It was called the People's Bank. They used to own Medibank Private. They used to own Telstra. They used to own the electricity.
Energex,
and we're always promised that if they diversify, it'll be cheaper. The prices have gone up.
Yep.
And I think that the government, rather than giving, take, for example, Holden.
Yeah.
So rather than giving Holden or whatever an amount of money, buy the shares.
Yeah.
Or buy certain things. And then use it for government cars.
Yeah.
I mean, rather than our Canberra politicians driving BMWs, have a Statesman or have a Australian-built vehicle.
Now, you might know this info because I was just a question I had. Isn't that what they did after the war? Isn't that what?
Well, let's just take it back a little bit closer to us. So we take the situation right now with China.
Yeah.
And how they're doing all these blocks.
China.
Yeah. You want to sound like Trump, don't you? Say it again then.
China.
Okay. Here's
doesn't
my
work, Ed, because we can't see your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And you don't have the long blonde hair. Okay. But back in the 70s, this is what people understand. Back in the 70s, when the United Kingdom, we did nearly as much as we did with China, if not more percentage-wise, we did with the United Kingdom. And the United Kingdom, I know you think they're our friends, but they drop us when they need to.
Yeah,
they
that's right,
dropped
they did.
us like a hat when they joined the EU.
Yeah.
When they joined the EU, they had to stop trading with us. That had an incredible effect. But here's the thing. The government preempted it because they knew it was coming, and they started diversifying. Now, we've got the same problem with China. So you have to understand, and you're right, if we could do a bit more study in our history, we won't repeat it.
Yes.
So I hear the media talking about the atrocities with China. Hang on, we've been there before as a country. And that was in the 70s with the United Kingdom.
Yes.
They joined the EU, they dropped us. Now they're saying Australia's the best friend because they're coming out. The UK needs us more than we need it, or maybe it's a bit of both, because they're coming out of the EU and they got all these things. And by all means, we need to trade with them and do all that stuff. I agree with that. But don't for a moment think that the United Kingdom's still going to be our best buddy.
No.
Because when it comes down to push to shove, it's all going to be about the dollar. And we need to be smarter than we are in the area, and we need to diversify. And, hey, I think it's great. You know, I know I laughed about it, but, you know, the Western Australian rock lobsters for $20, which is cheap. I don't know how much they cost normally for $20, but at least they're selling the product, and there's no flying it over to China and being.
They want Australians, they want Aussies to buy lobsters. And just by buying a simple thing like lobsters, we can put
Well,
back
how much
into
of our
own.
best produce is leaving us? That goes to show. So if these things brings our produce back, like the rock lobster, right? Which seriously, how do you cook it? It's already pre-cooked.
I don't know. I don't know if you do it like a
I
crab.
don't know.
Don't you just boil it?
Like a prawn, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I guess you just boil it like a crab.
On a barbie,
I'm
I
sure
think.
someone out there in Facebook world
Oh, yeah,
will
just
know
throw it
how
in
to
a
cook
barbie.
a lobster.
Throw in a barbie.
Yeah.
There goes Santa's helper. Okay. But the fact of the matter is that if it can bring back some of our good produce back into our country, then I think it's a win-win. And it's got to be cheaper having it within Australia than outside. And, I mean, they said that Coles has already put limits of 4, okay, and Woolies on Wednesday puts limits of 4 because the Australians are buying so many.
Well, that's good.
Well, that goes to show that there's a market.
Yeah, there's a market for it. Yeah.
There's a market, and that's the actual key. There's a market for this, and to me, that's really interesting. So
I think I might have to try one. I don't know if I don't think I've ever eaten lobster.
I had
me either.
a Korean lady. Her mother was flying here from Korea, and because as a church we've done some nice things.
Yeah.
To my surprise, to my door was delivered in a styrofoam box alive an actual New Zealand lobster. So we're not talking about these little ones. I'm talking about it was like this big.
Well, how did you cook it?
I boiled it.
Yeah.
I mean, I had to have a huge pot. Boiled it. I mean,
Was it nice?
Yes, it was very sweet. New Zealand has great crayfish. It's called
Wow.
crayfish. So, but anyhow, I think it's you got to turn the negative into a positive and make it work around. So let's go back to the vaccine conversation, if you don't mind, because we digressed.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
And I think I'd finish up by saying, well, to me, Australia's not a real urgency in it, where these other countries, if it works or not. Do you get it? I mean, I heard in the Courier Mail, and I don't know if they're hyping up the story, but we have heard before about how the Qantas CEO was saying that they're considering that if you're not vaccinated, you can't fly into the country. I don't know if they can legally do that. Then there was a story in the Courier Mail today saying that employers might make it mandatory. I just don't know how that could happen because our federal government, Scott Morrison, has said it will not be mandatory.
Yeah.
So if the government says it will not be mandatory, how could a employer? I mean, let's say, for example, and use illustration. Let's say we're working at the same place, and I get the vaccination, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay. So why would I be upset about you not if I've been vaccinated?
That's right.
Because according to my understanding, I can't get it.
Yeah.
So why would it worry me?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
So-
it's been
so-
one of the
so what does it
questions
matter?
that I've thought all along. But I do see that businesses will be able to get around that. I worked at the meatworks up at not the produce place up at Aldi, just up at Yatala there. And in order to work there, because we're working in cold food, I actually had to get an injection. I can't remember the name of it. But
For what? What was it for?
It was because there was meat products
Yeah,
in
but
there.
what was the injection for?
It was
To
the
protect-
Bill Gates microchipping. That's
yeah.
what it was.
There were no microchips in it. But basically, they said to us if we wanted to work on the site at Aldi because of the cold produce, and I believe it's the same with people who work in anything with meats. My brother-in-law works at the pet food shop. He works down there and he had to have an injection too. So I can't remember the name of it. Someone might be able to say what it is. But basically, it's to protect your body against any disease that
Bacteria.
you could catch. Yes, stuff like that. And so we didn't have to get the vaccine to work. But if we wanted to work there, we had to have the vaccine. And so because it was work for us, we ended up getting the vaccine. And so we worked in that job. So I can see the same thing happening on different places where companies will just put it into their safety procedures and say this
get
is
around it.
yeah, this is if you want to work somewhere, it's like growing up in building sites in that when we started in construction, everyone did what they wanted, and then started coming along. You had hard hats, but you sort of wore them when you wanted to, and then the laws started changing and the rules started changing, and what drove that was actually insurance. The insurance policies that companies would have, and so their payouts were getting more, and so they started to bring in now you now have to wear high vis, you have to wear a hard hat, you have to wear gloves, you have to wear masks, and every year it would just increase and increase. And as much as the workers didn't like doing it, if you wanted to work on that site, this is what you had to have. And it came under the arm of safety, under the umbrella of safety. And I can see that we probably will see something like that happen in companies, and they're going to say, you don't have to get it, but if you want to work here, this is what you will have to do.
Well, but still, in my opinion, because we're not talking about meat or anything else here, we're talking about a choice. So if I got vaccinated, why would I be worried about you not? Because I've been vaccinated, so I won't get it. So, I mean, that's all I'm saying. So I find it different in that area. So, I mean, like with Sandra's mum is 93 years of age, and they gave us an ultimatum, believe it or not. We could not visit her mum unless we had not only have a flu shot, we had to bring a doctor's note certificate to the home. Otherwise, we can't go in. I mean, that's a bit of a raw prawn. That's pretty tough. Now, we did it.
Yeah.
My wife was like, well, why should I? I said, Sandra, let's just do it because we got to see your mum, you know, and
we've had that before when you're seeing newborn babies. Some families have said to us, would you mind getting the flu shot? So you can...
well, I've had that.
Not the flu shot. There was another shot.
It was the flu shot. I had people, they posted, we'd love you to visit, but if you don't have the flu shot, you can't visit.
Yeah.
So I didn't visit.
We've had to do that too.
I didn't visit. I waited till the time there. I just felt like it was too much. And I respected their opinion.
Yeah.
I never reacted to their opinion. I just didn't do it. I didn't do it, you know. Yeah. But in this case, I did do it. And because I felt it was urgent for me to see, because it's already been months since we'd seen her, and does not understand what's happening, and so we did it. I just find it's difficult.
Yeah.
Now, if it's something that could be contagious, meaning in the area, but I mean, it's something, you know. And there's so many stories. And I know there are those going online telling us it causes this. But the only thing I've seen right now through the meaning literally seeing it, not reading someone else's opinion. People think Google is accurate. I'm sorry, I don't agree with it. Google's accuracy. It's like Dr. Google. But what I do know for a fact that recorded is that there has been some cases of polio.
Yep.
Have to be careful of. The face dropping in there. And the other one was with people with extreme allergic reactions.
Yes.
There was, I think, 2 nurses in the United Kingdom. They didn't die; they were treated, but it goes to the area there. So it's a very difficult thing. But I suppose it goes up to convictions. You know,
yeah. I
give
think
up your
this
job,
is going to
not
be
whatever else.
the next big can of worms that we're going to be facing.
But it won't be happening in the church. It won't be the church saying, "If you don't do it, you don't come in."
Well, Shaun, are you going to make it mandatory for the workers here?
No.
Well,
no.
I think it.
No, I wouldn't make it mandatory. Do I make it mandatory for a flu shot?
I mean,
no, but I do know of workplaces that make it mandatory for a flu shot.
What if the bank started saying, "Hey, if you want to come in and withdraw money,
nobody goes to a bank to withdraw money, buddy." I mean, there's no such thing as a bank teller these days. They've eliminated that. Yeah. Everything is online, Ed.
Yeah.
That argument does not work.
What about the footy? What about you have to get the flu shot to go to the footy?
I haven't gone to a rugby league game for 4 or 5 years, so I just lost interest in the behaviour and everything else. So that's not working with me either, Ed. Okay, so the only way it worked with me is visiting my wife's mother, which I did yield to be able to do that. So greater love has no man in this, and a man laid down his life for his friend. So.
It will be interesting whether it happens for places like government buildings, where you have to have.
I definitely reckon government workers will probably have to get it.
Well, speaking of government, in Victoria, they've now said that the Victorian government, any government area, you cannot refer to as being my wife or husband. You can only use the word partner.
Or spouse or something like that?
No, it's partner. Say spouse. It's partner. Wow. Okay. And not even use the word Mr. or Mrs. or ma'am or sir. All being banned in the area. But I mean, when I hear the word...
What happens if you say it? Do you get fined?
Well, you just get fined on the spot.
No, you don't.
Copper just appears and gives you a fine.
This is what they say in their work. So let me put it this way, on a serious note with my comedians, okay, is if I hear the word, someone says, "Oh, this is my partner," I take that to mean they're living together but not married.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would too.
I heard another person say when they said a partner, they thought it was gay connection, but I don't take it as that area.
Yeah.
So if I hear someone say, "Oh, this is my partner," okay, then I take it as not married.
Yeah.
Same thing as if you have the word Mrs. or ma'am, you know what I mean? So ma'am, or is it ma'am? Or would you mean there?
Mrs. or Miss.
Mrs. or Ms. Okay, and one would Miss is single, MISS. Mrs. is married, but there's also then the other
MRS. Is that it, or is it MISS? Is that what you're thinking?
No, I already explained that.
Oh.
Okay, MISS is single, middle miss.
Yep.
MIS is married, but then it's ma'am or something, which means the area of their divorced, single, or they've been married but they're widowed or something else.
Yeah.
So I mean, the issue is that what concerns me is that the government, there's more important things to talk about than trying to work at this neutral gender sort of thing. I don't know how that works. I have no problem saying this is my wife, as my wife has no problem saying this is my husband, and I'm not changing that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just ludicrous. There's so much more interesting things in this world than this.
One of the good things that we've had through this COVID season, I think, is we haven't been hearing a lot of this stuff. But as it's quietening down, things are coming out more again.
Yeah.
But it went silent for a while, and it was lovely.
Yes, back to now the crazies of progressivism.
Someone asked me yesterday, as I was, they said, "Do you miss not flying?" And to be honest with you, no, I don't. In fact, I've enjoyed, I don't know if the staff has enjoyed it, but I mean, I've enjoyed being home more, being back here. It's just been more.
Yeah, we
interesting.
love having you around, Shaun. It's been great.
Yeah. The only time he gets to call me Shaun is here.
He's on the podcast.
As soon as we turn the cameras off, it's yes, Pastor.
Yeah.
Okay, so he goes there.
yes, Pastor
It's
Shaun.
Santa's helper. Okay, so it's over
Doing
there.
a great job, Ed.
Oh, thank you.
Remember, I got your lollipop over here.
Yeah, I'm excited for the end, man. I can't wait to have it.
Now, I saw an interesting thing, which I believe is related to COVID. I was reading in today's Career Mail. It said here that Queensland housing needs, the applications have gone up 50%. It is now 16,270, and that's in regards to distressed persons. So those who are under distress, meaning nowhere to live, not overall the whole thing, but those in immediate distress,
Wow, is that right?
has gone up 50% to at 16,270 right now applications. And if you do the whole picture, it's way over that number. But I'm talking about just the emergency distressed. And there's a lack of housing. Now, the new Greens member in the state government, just in a rather crude way, as they talk, just said, we'll build more blank houses.
Yeah.
Well, it's not that easy to
Blank
build more.
houses? What's that mean? What's just?
No, blank, substitute another word for blank.
Oh, I was like,
I love
is this
that
like
guy.
is this like a government house, like the red brick houses or something? Oh, okay.
It doesn't mean an
As
empty
in
house.
a swear
But
word.
it said,
Okay.
she's saying, build more
Yeah.
blank houses.
A
meaning
four-letter
she's
word
like-
beginning with F.
No,
Faith.
Yeah, you got me. That was one of my hiccups. They won't let me live it down. At least I know what I meant. Okay. Anyhow, Ed, if I may,
Yes, you may.
thank you for your care.
So do you think this is because of people coming up to Queensland as well as...
No, this is not selection. This is to do with desperate areas. So majority of it that I understand has to do with, remember under the COVID thing, is that you couldn't toss out somebody who
No,
was
that's
renting
right.
for
Yeah.
so many months.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that stopped in September.
Yep.
So there's more people who are displaced to where it's not so much they can't pay rent now, but they owe back rent. So
Yeah.
the job situation is better now, but they haven't paid back rent.
Yeah.
And so they have been now evicted or finished the lease and not renewed. And so where people are saying, you know, because now rent is going up higher than it was before.
Yeah.
So house prices, rent's going up. And I was talking to Peter Hartley, and he's a pastor at the Yarrabilba Dunamis Church. And he was saying that there in Yarrabilba, this is what he told me a couple of months ago, that it was almost impossible to find a 4-bedroom house for rent in Yarrabilba. And predominantly, I'm not saying so much now, but it was during the blockade with Victoria, where the only way they could leave Victoria to come to Queensland is they had to have a place of residence. So they're looking to lease places.
Yeah,
so they
renting
do
places
yeah.
without even seeing it.
That's what they're
Yeah.
doing. And there's a shortage. I don't know how it is now, but that's what Peter was telling me. So there's a number of displaced people
Yep.
who are looking for emergency housing.
Mm.
And so according to what was in the Career Mail today, it says the applications for housing assistance from the government is up 50% for, and I'm not talking about the general area because it's like 30-something thousand, but I'm talking about just those under the real difficult areas and situations. And, it's how do you do that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would hate to see us go back when I was young in the 60s, 70s, they had these housing commission areas.
Yep.
Where you just had blocks and blocks and blocks of commission houses. And there are really difficult areas to be in because of the social disconnection and social problems.
Yep.
Whereas today it's been more like if you have an investment home, the government is prepared to pay, subsidize, give guarantees if they can take that pay you so that they can have in such persons, which I think is better because it's in communities. The problem today is that it's harder to do investment homes now than it was because of government areas and situations. I was talking to one of our builders yesterday, and I was coming to him. I don't know if you've noticed, Harry, but in the state of Queensland, there's never been so many building companies that have gone into liquidation, bankruptcy.
Is that right, even now?
Yeah, and that's because the banks, they're saying do a home, but the banks are not lending to the construction companies. They're now only prepared to lend like 30 to 40% of the loan. You have to have all this other money. It's impossible.
Wow.
So if you have a look right now, you'll see there's a lot of developers, and I've been researching some of them, are trying to get self-managed, self-managed retirement funds to invest what they need to get the development done because they can't get it, and they're offering 12% per annum. I looked at a couple of those cases right now where the developers can't get the money from the banks, so they're approaching investment funds or private people. They might say, "Hey, Harry, if you do a self-management of your retirement, and let's say you got 100 or 200,000, if you put that in there for 12 months, then we give you 12%. If you put it in there, because they have to raise the money outside of the government. I'm not sure, outside the banks, so the banks aren't lending in that area. So, and of course, for the banks, their concern was, and they said this too, they believe that come March, they're going to have the highest amount of home closures.
Yeah, it's
because
it's going to open up a new business perspective in March, and I know the government said that we're out of recession, but what's going to happen in March?
Well, in March, what happens is all the government subsidies stop. But what happens in March is that they're expecting people have got to make the payments back up now who have been doing it, because a lot of people haven't been making payments. And what happens is that they're worried about that effect it's going to have where the bank says foreclosed. I know people who've been foreclosed on already.
Wow.
And you think of this environment, what's going to happen, but I already know what's happening. So these are the things we need to be wise and consider in the areas. And, all of us need to be wise in the areas. I've noticed people in the IT industry whose contracts have run out just in the last month. And they're finding it really hard to get new contracts because businesses aren't prepared to extend themselves in new planning because they're concerned about what they can do. So that's in the IT industry where I've been talking to people. So, it's a real stickler. It's something really needed.
Do you see this also as a byproduct of our political system, where it seems to be, no matter which party is in, they seem to be only concerned about the period of time that they're in, not trying to build things that will go beyond their party. It's like in America, it's Trump comes in, he changed everything Obama did. Biden's going to come in and he's already saying he's going to change things that Trump did. And it's, how do you actually move forward if one party just spends their time changing what the previous party did?
And we know that Biden wouldn't do more than one term if he's even going to be able to survive one term. So my odds are he won't even make 4 years.
Down with democracy. That's what I say.
And I believe that his trouble will come from his own party.
Yes.
Because I believe, could be wrong, it'll happen. They use Biden, in my opinion, as a front man, as a centralist, where there's extremes to get in.
Yes.
And then once he's in, get him out. I actually believe the Labor Party did that with Kevin Rudd, is that they brought him in because John Howard was too popular with Christian conservatives. They brought him in because he was the closest thing the Labor Party had to a Christian conservative, which I don't believe he was, but that's what he is. And then they had a left Julie Gillard there, and then as soon as they get him in, they get rid of him.
Yeah.
And I believe that'll happen again. This is my opinion. And this is not my prophecy. I laugh at the people who prophesied on Facebook saying, the Lord has said that Trump will be in. Some leading guys and average guys. I'm still waiting for them to apologize, but maybe they're waiting till January the 20th when Biden gets sworn in.
You would understand why. I've got a question about the American, the electoral college vote.
Yeah.
The electoral college vote. So what does that mean? From my understanding, it's representatives from all the states get together and then they have a vote as well?
No, this is where they don't get together. This is where every state, 50 states, brings in their response as to who won in their state. And so they feed it back to the central area. And then what happens, which I believe is January the 6th, is that the Congress rectify it and say, we, the Congress, acknowledge, which is all the states, that this is President-elect.
So the college vote can't change the outcome of the election?
It can, but it hasn't.
Okay.
So it can, but it has not. I don't think it ever has in history. It can, but it has not. So, and then I hear Republicans saying that they're hoping that the Congress can be changed to not accept
The college vote.
Which, again, it's controlled by the Democrats. So how is that going to happen?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, it is. And then, like I said, the head of the Senate, because the majority Republicans at this time, I pray it stays that way, but we've got to wait for Georgia to find out. And in that area, they acknowledge President-elect Biden. So he's already done that. So, it's grasping at straws. I mean, how many... The problem is that I just can see, I know it's going to happen. For the whole 4 years that Trump was president, Hillary was saying she was robbed, it's not right, da-da-da. And I can see the Republicans, especially the Christians, are going to be saying that for the whole 4 years in this presidency, that we were robbed, it didn't happen. And also say that it's going to stop us from ever getting in again. And Christians tell me, well, I've seen the evidence. You haven't seen any more evidence than what the courts have seen. You know what I mean? And then the answer is that, the judges wouldn't hear it. Seriously. I mean, we just got to show a bit of dignity in ourselves as Christians. And we got to say, hey, we don't like the result. It's the way it is. Let's work towards what the next term's going to be. And I understand it's going to be tough for Christians. And I really do. Yeah. It's tough for churches. And it's tough for those who are conservative. I understand that. But it is what it is. Yeah. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I mean, right now, I'm happy because Prime Minister Scott Morrison is in power. I'm happy. Yep. I am happy. And when we had some other areas, I wasn't happy. But I don't lose faith and I don't go bonkers. I just keep my faith where it's meant to be and keep moving forward. These things are all temporary. They're not... No,
that's right.
I mean, read some history about what Christians went through. Read about Polycarp. Read about the apostles. Read about what they went through for the unjust governments and reigning areas and how they shone for the Lord. So where there is the injustice coming, then shine for Jesus. I mean, stop carrying on. Shine for Jesus. Read some of your history about how great men and women of faith have stood up in horrific times and declared their testimony in faith. Glorify the Lord. I mean, it's nothing compared to what Christians suffer in China right now.
Yeah.
They go through horrendous things in China, and they got no chance of overthrowing the Chinese government, yet they shine. In fact, there are many Americans and Australian missionaries who are underground missionaries in that nation, sharing and ministering, and there's more Christians today in China than there's ever been in the history of China.
Yeah.
And yet, they do it unto the Lord. So, do it unto the Lord. God's still sovereign. God's still God. Just because of Biden or because of a computer corruption or whatever else word you want to use, it doesn't mean God has lost control. He's still sovereign. So you need to just get your focus in that area. This is my opinion, but I'm holding to it. Do you know how many abortions have happened this year? I found this.
No.
I have this machine ticking over called the worldometer, what do you call it? It says, up to this minute right now, second, there has been 40,880 million or 881 million abortions as of present right now in this world right now. Can you believe that?
It's horrible.
And the world's population is under 8 billion, 7.8, 7.9.
It's staggering. And just looking at it's put up the clock. Well, it was up there.
Yeah.
It's ticking over. Less than every second.
Look at the seasonal flu deaths this year in the world. 470,337 have died so far this year of flu. You know what I mean? That's right. Children under the age of 5 is over 7,298,388 deaths of children under 5. Now, that's a huge amount of deaths, children under 5. And when you think of in the world deaths right now due to COVID, is 1,639,362,000, something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a huge effect overall, but it comes in there. It's most interesting. So your church, what are you doing in your church for Christmas?
Because it's the community centre that we hire, we're not able to do a service there. But I've already talked to the guys. I said next year, come Christmas, we will find somewhere and do a service. So one of the things that COVID has done for us as a church is it forced us to do things like a lot of churches quicker than we thought we would do.
Yep.
So we had to learn. I had to learn how to do live stream. I'm not as haven't got the technical setup that Ed's got here, but we
Praise
make do.
God for Ed. That's what I can
Yes,
say.
we make do. And so I had to learn how to do live stream, how to do videos, and how to do all the technical side because that was our only option, as a lot of pastors and churches all around the world had to learn to do.
Yeah.
The blessing that I had was I love technology. So for me, it wasn't a labour. It was very interesting to learn how to do that. And so we had to learn like most places. So for us, we hire the hall, and because it's a community centre, and at this stage, councils don't deem church services as a community service.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So we're not able to book it in every week. But we're blessed, and so we had to make do with that. And so we stream from a home one weekend and from the building the other weekend. And as well as while we're in the home, we actually started inviting families over, as we were allowed to do under the COVID rules. And we really enjoyed that. We enjoyed getting families together to have church together. But while that is there, I still believe that people like to gather in groups. And I think they always do. So we're looking to do some changes throughout next year. And next year, Christmas, I've already said to the guys, we will find somewhere and we will have a Christmas service down the Gold Coast somewhere. And who knows, by that time we might have changes in the council building.
Maybe you'll have your own building.
We may have our own building by
Ooh,
then.
yeah.
You never know. So
Let's
we'll
pray
be
for
looking to do that. So it's God's been very good to us, very good to the church, and it's been great to see. For me, I've actually enjoyed the shift of COVID. I've enjoyed the shift of what God's been doing. I think it's been a season of opportunity, a season of blessing, and all it's taken from me is a little bit of insight and hard work, which I didn't mind.
So for us as a church, this Sunday is 40 weeks we've been running again as Sunday.
Yeah, 40 weeks. Yeah.
And a lot of churches like you couldn't.
Yeah.
The other churches that had buildings just chose not to.
Yeah, I don't get
Then
that.
they said COVID wouldn't let them, which is not true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is our 40th week. If you just put the camera back to Harry, and you see behind Harry
yes.
is we had
There's
our different pictures I picked out there of our time. Was it like a couple of months, Ed, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't like 9 weeks
9 weeks, was it? Where
About
we couldn't do
9,
church
12?
and we did
Yeah.
it all in that area.
in the studio
And
setup.
Right, yeah, we did all sorts of things. So
And had
we
the
wanted-
council vehicle parked out the front.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, we got visited several times by police.
By police, yeah.
Yeah.
And thank God for Tony Holt, his security, so I can convince him that
Hey,
we're breaking
Don
the-
Tony, hey.
Antonio.
Hey, Tony.
Anthony. And but it was a very difficult time. You know what I mean?
But it was a good time as well because we learnt a lot and we got to grow in areas of like live streaming. Like this wouldn't have existed without COVID.
You're right, Ed. And I think, as you mentioned before too, is that we were already working towards that way. So you
Yeah.
already had some. I mean,
Yeah.
equipment's gone a lot more, but you had equipment. But you know, when I look back on this year of 2020, because you know it's coming to an end this year,
Yep.
and we've got a couple of weeks left of this year.
Oh, yeah.
Really, and this sounds. It has been a fantastic year for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Good.
Yeah, I lost people
Yeah.
from the church. I lost people who probably were already going to leave, so this was an excuse to go. There are people who find it easy to sit at home and watch, especially when it's raining, than it is
Yeah.
to come in.
Yeah.
But we've gained a lot of people.
Yes.
And those who came to our production were saying, who's that person? Who's that person? And it's all during this time we've
Yeah.
gained people.
Mm.
So it's come up pretty good in that area. Of course, I'm concerned for the new year, for March, with our people and what happens and finances and those sort of helps that we get. Of course, I'm concerned. You know what I mean? So the people's giving and generosity your giving's been phenomenal, right?
I can't speak highly enough of our church. The people have just been simply amazing. I've been stunned, and we've had the same. We haven't had people turn up every week, but what we have had is the language of everyone has just been so positive. They've been so supportive in everything that Seal and I have done. I can't praise them enough and thank the Lord for them enough. You guys have just been amazing. So for us, it's been a blessing, especially because we've been forced to be in homes and be in a building, and that in itself causes issues as well. Our children don't get to have the regular Sunday service, and so you don't get continuity. It's been hard to build with that, but nevertheless, everyone's done a great job, and so I can't praise them highly enough.
And as church, I mean, I'm praying strong for people's giving and financial giving and support because that's always so important for us as a church, and the people that get back in the habit of realize that being in fellowship is very important. This Sunday, of course, the third of our special Christmas events, we did the markets and we did the Christmas Carol Spectacular. But
and markets you said you had the highest crowd in that market?
Well, we had the highest blessing in the whole thing there, and finances and things that came about. So probably we had more stalls than that. I mean, it's a great time. But then this Sunday we have our production, The Fourth Wise Man. It's not me preaching; it's actually a play, a production, which they're working really hard. The whole set of the stage is completely different. We have a huge camel cut out and a huge horse that goes along on wheels, and they're great things. A palm tree put together as well. So all those things, which is great.
Thoroughbred.
Yeah, thoroughbred.
Yes.
We're gonna
Are you talking about Shane or the
Is
horse?
it called Winks?
Winks. Nah, black caviar.
Okay.
No, that's not our most famous horse.
Oh. No, it's I should know this.
Farlap.
Farlap, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's the most famous horse.
Oh, fair enough.
Yes. Look it up. Of course, New Zealanders claim it's theirs.
Yes.
Of course.
I think half of the body is here and half of the body's in New Zealand. I think something like that, or a heart or something.
We could make a trade, though. We could keep the name Farlap and give them back Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe's not an Australian.
I know, but he lives. They try and claim him, so we could give him back.
Well, they can have him. I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. But going back to the point, so we're having our play, our drama, which is on this week, and if people want to come to it, then they go online and book tickets.
Book tickets, yep.
And doing the area there, and which is great. So please be involved. And then our Christmas Eve service for us, Harry, we have a Christmas Eve, Christmas Day.
We're coming along Christmas Eve.
Oh, nice to have you. So I'll be speaking at both those services. So our Christmas Eve is Thursday the 24th, and it's from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m., 1 hour service with communion. And our Christmas Day service is on Friday the 25th, which is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., and we'd love to have you here. Then the final Sunday of the year, which we have that night, is what we call personal communion. We just have a personal time of breaking bread with people, and we do that in reference towards ending the year and beginning the new year.
Yep.
And which is really important. Of course, we have to do that to be COVID safe as well, don't we, Ed?
Yes.
Comes in there. Well, this is the end of today's program. And so, Harry, I want to thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much
for having me.
for
It's a
having
blessing to have you here. And if you'd give our regards to your wonderful fellowship at church and tell them how much we love them and praying for them. And we think of all the pastors out there during this Christmas time, and we think of all the Christians, just to remember the reason for the season. And always remember this, and even though we might disagree on certain things, what we do agree on is Jesus is the reason.
Amen.
Yes.
And so let's really promote Jesus. Amen. And reach out in love. I know that our young adults with Danny and Melissa are going out to deliver a whole bunch of hampers to just people on the street and everywhere else, isn't it?
Yes.
He's made up, 30, 40, 50,
Heaps.
60 of these hampers that are going out on the streets. This week, isn't it, Ed? Saturday?
Yeah, this week, yes.
They're going out to deliver them on the streets just to go and do that. Maybe people want to be involved in that, just contact Pastor Danny or the team, which is great. So there's a lot of good things happening in the area there. So we want you to keep safe and blessed. When you think of Christmas, Harry, what's your main thing you think of?
Family. And the
Family. Okay.
Yep.
Santa's helper. What do you think of?
Prawns.
Look at lobsters this year, Ed.
Oh, lobsters,
Great.
yeah.
Okay.
I think of Christmas bonuses. That's what I think of.
You do have a Christmas bonus coming in.
You've got a job next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm glad about.
No, Ed has worked really hard, seriously, this year. He has really stood out.
See the bags under my eyes?
as a crucial staff member with the technology.
Yeah.
And Ed has been outstanding, so we do appreciate it. And then he was under a lot of pressure last week with all the events, so we didn't podcast last week because he just had too much happening. And I think he would have preferred to podcast, but
Yeah, I enjoyed the podcast. It's very fun.
yes, we're on ourselves next week, Ed.
Yeah.
But we'll have Ken Ham
Yes.
from Kentucky.
The ham. The
This
ham
is
stuff.
definitely
No.
happening this time. For me, what I think of Christmas,
Yes.
well, just it's the message of Christ. That's, and I'm not just saying it because I'm Basil, but to me, it's like at the carols, being up to stand there just for a couple of minutes, and just to speak out the reason for this. That meant more to me. Those things mean more to me than a whole sermon. Just that couple of minutes to be able to share. So, Lord, I just pray your peace, blessings, and grace upon each and every one of our family. Our family could be those in our church, those in other churches, those in our state, our city, our nation, and those across the world. We think of, Lord, across the world, the United States. We think of all the nations, United Kingdom, all the nations that are battling with this COVID. We just pray for favor and victory. We pray especially for our American friends with this transition and the difficulty it is right now. We pray your protection upon this nation, your strength and wisdom upon those who are believers. We speak it, Lord, in your mighty name. Remember, Father, the reason for this season. His name is Jesus. The Lord bless you. Thank you so much for joining us. Look forward to next week. It's going to be our special Christmas edition. The Lord be with you. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Get down, get busy as Dunamis. Here we are today.